Good evening. Welcome to Urban Facts. It's Thursday, 7 p.m. in the evening, and I'm your host, Eamon Hotep Parker. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Shawn Grant. But before we get into that, I just want to give you an update on this young lady's case, Miss Rachel King. Miss King's murderers have been captured. So let's just give you a little glimpse at these two individuals here. I was about to call them scumbags, but I guess I can't call them that on my show, even though I just did. So these two individuals here is Julie Jean and Zaki Stephen Ahim. So they were captured. We're going to give you guys the news clip in regards to the actual showing of them, a little, what am I trying to say here? The actual information, the news broadcast of them being captured. So here we go right here.
New details on a shooting in Cheltenham. We're now learning that the murder of a mother killed outside of a Dunkin' was planned for months by these two people here in the middle. And investigators say it was all over an ended affair. And Kelly, it's like something out of a movie.
Jason, it really does. The DA says today they believe this was a conspiracy, a murder for hire of a completely innocent mom and beloved school teacher by a man that didn't know her and a woman who investigators say was filled with jealousy and hate.
Her memory will never be lost.
Heartbroken parents of 35-year-old Rachel King thanked investigators for the first step towards justice in their daughter's murder. King was shot to death in the parking lot of the Cheltenham Dunkin' Donuts on April 11th in front of her 11-year-old son, Jalen.
You know, the road ahead is not going to be easy, but we believe in the team of people that are here today.
A truly innocent woman is targeted in a long planned murder, all because of an ended affair.
The Montgomery County DA's office says defendant 34-year-old Julie Jean had an affair with a longtime boyfriend of King's last year. And after he broke it off, Jean harassed both King and her boyfriend, which led him to filing a protection from abuse order against Jean in early December. The DA's office believes Jean's plotting began in mid-February when she started talking to and conspiring with 33-year-old Zaki Al-Hakim, who's related to the father of her children. Investigators say cell phone evidence from Al-Hakim's phone revealed this map of King's apartment complex with a pin marking her home and this picture of a phone held by Jean with King's photo on it.
The defendants were also connected through a silver Mercury Sable.
Investigators discovered the Mercury Sable connected to King's shooting was purchased in Jean's name 2 weeks before the murder. Her and Al-Hakim went together to buy it at a shop in Philadelphia. The DA's office says after King's murder on the 11th, Philadelphia police spotted the Mercury Sable while patrolling. It was also wanted by their department for a murder on April 7th on 5100 North Broad. A brief chase led to a crash, and Al-Hakim was taken into custody.
In the course of 4 days, he killed twice.
The DA's office says spent shell casings from the April 7th murder and King's murder matched, and they believe they came from a ghost gun in this picture taken in mid-March, found on Al-Hakim's cell phone.
Our hearts are hurting, but we also believe this in time, they will be healed and we will move forward with our grandson, Jalen.
Now, the DA's office says both suspects deleted their conversations from their phones, but detectives were able to recover most of it, including a Cash App payment only hours after King's murder. Both of them are behind bars and are facing charges of first-degree murder and conspiracy, among others.
All right. So they definitely caught, the murderers of Miss Rachel King. Very sad situation. Our hearts goes out to the family, Miss Carol King and her beloved family. we've been in contact with Ms. King, just sending our condolences and, best wishes and everything like that. Excuse me. So we're going to interview Mr. Shawn Grant. So let me get this information for you here. All right. So Mr. Grant is the father of a 16-year-old teenager, Shawn Grant Jr. So his son was killed under a hail of bullets in North Philadelphia on July 11th, 2022, approximately after 11 p.m. on a 2800 block of Diamond Street. Police say Shawn was just walking from home with a friend when shots rang out. So we're going to interview his father in regards to his son's memory. The violence among the teens is really getting out of control. When I heard about this situation, I immediately called him. His dad is a friend of mine's. We gave whatever support we could in regards to the situation, and the loss of a son or any child is a death-defying feat. So we will be interviewing Mr. Shawn Grant. That's him right here. So without further ado, we're going to bring Shawn on. How you doing, How you doing there, sir?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Your camera is on the side there.
Man, I told you I don't know how to do this thing, man. I'm never was good with these phones, man.
Just turn your phone to the side. That's all. You should be good.
No, that's what.
Yeah, right. You're good to go right there.
Yes.
So, I just want to thank you for, giving us time to, interview you in regards to, your son's memory. So that's the first thing. So we're going to just go right into the interview. So tell us about your son's family life coming up as a child.
Well, that's kind of a hard one. So, in the beginning, I guess when me and his mom, was still dealing with each other, he had us, we was both there, but he, how could I say? Well, he always even after we kind of split, he always was around me. I always had him. He used to, he would go with his mom and he'd go with me, but he I try to provide him with some of the the best thing, long as I try to put a sense of responsibility, like try to help him earn stuff, because I would buy him stuff and try to help him learn to earn stuff. So I lived in a number of places and a number of neighborhoods, but I always got along pretty well with most of the people out there. So them being that, them knowing that that's my son, he had a pretty good upbringing. We played football, played basketball. He was, pretty smart kid. He always get, before he was on the honor roll at one time, he did, he was doing pretty good at one time.
Okay. So tell us about you guys' relationship. What type of relationship did you and Shawn have?
So what happened was he was staying with his mother. His mother ran into some problems with, the use of drugs. So she had some, had to go to rehab and a few other things. So I went and got him. He was about, I want to say about 8 years old, and he came with me, and everything was fine. We got, we got along pretty well, but he he was kind of, it wasn't a whole lot of structure where he was coming from. So when he was, even though he came to my house often, but he knew when he come to my house, he behaved one way. He go there, he behave another way. But now he was with me on a more permanent basis. He, he he was a little testy at first, but then he started, getting along pretty well. But he was kind of silly kid. He was a kid that he had to learn for himself. He was going to do stuff, and so me and his relationship was good until when he used to go back to his other parents' house where he didn't have to do the same thing. So then most of the things that I try to incorporate in him, he used to go right out the window, and I had to start all over and kind of reprogram him. And then when his teenage years, it was like a, all out, let me test to see just how far I can go, But
Right.
still, we still had an understanding. And then, he started. He started. It's like I guess when one parent is not there that much, they kind of draw to the other parent trying to get their attention. So he was kind of getting fed some, misinformation, was making it kind of impossible to deal with, and so it brought us into like some of the current situations.
Okay. So, what was your son's dreams and aspirations, coming up as a youth?
So he like a lot of kids think you're going to the NBA, do he could play like that. He was pretty, he was okay, but but he was a tall kid, For he was only 16, like 6'4", like 280. Look, I'm like 6'3". He tall kid. He played pretty good. He was a little lazy, but but then he also wanted to be like this rap star, and I would let him do his music, but there was certain things I didn't let him go out there talking about because of the social media stuff today. And I noticed that I used to always check his social media, and he used to be getting in his little things with these little guys that they, sometimes I make him shut it down, and he would just, so and plus I stress the point of we're not doing any studio time and none of if everything is not straight in school. That got to
Right.
be first. And if you don't do this in school, then you ain't doing. I don't care if you're good or not. We're not doing. We just wasn't doing it. I don't care how good you knew how to play, how good you know. We got to have this straight. So he didn't understand that at first, but then he started getting the gist of it because it reflected on his grades. You would
Right.
see that he was making the grades. I was getting letters home saying how he was this kind of student. He was this kind of student. He was he's pretty good, but but like I said though, when he goes down to the other parent house where it was hardly no structure, and I try to, you try not to talk about the other parent because you don't want them looking at you no type of way. Plus, it's still his mom, So I try to be lenient towards certain things, but ultimately that kind of like it kind of backfired on me, But I was trying to be supportive, but I should have been more like, I don't want, you don't want to be too, you don't want to smother them, but at the same time, I should have snuffed some things out, even though I tried, and sometimes they just, like I said, he longed for that attention, and I just couldn't understand it, So it started affecting me and his relationship a lot, So, because I didn't care like about you wanting that attention, I just want you to be sure. I always used to tell him like, look, man, I love you, but I said sometimes I love you, but sometimes I don't like you, man, because you just don't listen. You know what I mean? And I said, and I said, this is the thing. When you turn 18 or whatever, if you want to run outside and be a dummy, that's gonna be you. But you're not gonna say you didn't know, because I'm gonna make sure you got everything to know, and you had every opportunity to know. So you're not gonna say, "Oh, I never knew this," or "I never knew." Oh, my dad, I said, everything you know how to do, I was showing you. I'm showing you how to, I got to go to work. So I used to show them how to get on the bus and do this and how to do this and how to pay for this. And I'm like, you're not going to know, not say you don't know.
Right.
But you go, and if you decide you want to go a different direction, it's because that's what you decided. But you don't say you didn't know. I didn't show you how to do this. You didn't have the opportunity to do something. So we used to always have that little trouble all the time, because he used to always act like, oh, I didn't know. I said, oh, how you didn't know? You know, we used to always go through that.
I feel you was definitely important for a father to create some type of structure for their kids. Um, what would you say? How is, I mean, from your experience on being a dad? Um, I'm sure Shawn wasn't your only child. How many children do you have
So
now?
I have three. My daughter is 24, and I have a 13-year-old son. But
So
Sean was the one that I had the most, because he lived with me for years, So he was the one that basically that got most of my time, even though I tried with the other ones too. But he the one that got most of it. He stayed with me.
So, what advice as a father would you give to other dads in regards to, building healthy structure with their children?
Um, but that's a hard one. All I can say is if you got a feeling about something, and you know what's right, stick to it no matter what they say. I remember being in court and telling the judge, like, look, please don't do that. I'm trying to save his life. Then, he gets shot, and then we go back to court. The judge looked at me and started crying and said, I'm sorry, Mr. I'm so sorry, Mr. Grant. We should have, I should have sent you, I sent them back. Are you against my better judgment? But then I'm like, okay. So I said, listen, now you done had him down there for a while. He deprogrammed, so I'm gonna need some help with this, please. Like, I said, can we like get him in some kind of program so I can show him this is what he needs to do, and then we bring him back. And she said, okay, we'll try that. But in the meantime, in that little bit of time, DHS and stuff took him back down his mom's house. And next thing you know, I'm getting a phone call saying, anyway, I just say, like, I mean, it's everything stacked against you. As if, I mean, I know it's men out here that don't do what they're supposed to do, granted,
Right.
right? But for the fathers that want to be responsible, and I always been in my kids' life from day one. Nobody can ever say nothing different. If they do, they lying. People that know me know, and you just gotta stick to what you know and what you and try your best and pray that that like I guess some people, I should have surrounded myself with more people that can probably help me out on certain things, and certain things I know that even though that's his parents, sometimes you gotta use your better judgment to say, hey, he might not like you for it, but it's not a good idea for him to be there right now,
Right.
or whatever. So you gotta do it. You try not to be the villain, and you don't want to be an all disciplined person, but hey, man, if it's gonna save their life, man, you gotta do it.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. and it's kind of hard when you do have, I guess both parents aren't really on the same page, and you really trying to, do the best for your child for their best interest. So that's definitely
I, I would say this: you don't have to be, even if you're not on the same page, just don't be against me with everything. You could be supportive of certain things, or just say you don't like this. Don't make it like, okay, well, we just not gonna do that. It's certain things I didn't like, but I still was not like all the way against him. And might say, hey, listen, that's not a good idea for him to do that. And I would say it to you because we talking. It's not you. I'm not saying that to him. And you just don't be against you. You can't just let them know and give them the opportunity to play both sides like that.
right,
And because they're going to do it every time. And now y'all both mad, and you don't know what's going. Somebody got to be the mature one, and a lot of times, even when you the one that's want to be responsible, and you try to logically know, okay, I got to deal with this guy later on, so let me just let this go and try it this way. And sometimes that just backfire on you. So that's where you got to go with your instincts. Got to go with it, man. Because I mean, right now that feeling right now when you get that is I still wake up like that sometimes, man. And it's something else, man.
yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I can't say I feel you because I haven't
Yeah.
lost a child. Um, so it's been a little. I guess it's almost a year now.
Yeah, in
So
July it'll be a year.
what do you how do you plan on keeping your son's memory alive?
Uh right now I'm trying to figure that out. I thought about having some kind of tribute to him every year. And sometimes, man, just to try to get people to acknowledge certain stuff is real disappointing, man. And I don't feel like going through that disappointment. It's like even when his funeral, people say, "Oh, I'm gonna come down," and then it's just some of the excuses. People, "Oh, my cat was sick. I was this." And you like, wow, you know what I mean?
Right, I
But
feel
I'm a
you.
guy. Anybody I support, I go to everything and support everything, and it's
Right,
like a spit in your face, man. So I said, I don't know. I got to find a way to honor him and keep it going because I'm definitely not letting it go. I don't know how it's coming. Maybe it might not be this first year, but I can never let that go, man. But I got to, and I'm still looking at it because nobody never even give me no updates about what's going on with his investigation and nothing.
oh really?
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on. They don't even say nothing.
Well, you can definitely you can call us and we can give you like the numbers to the DA's office, and you just gotta reach out to the detective that was over the case. You know what I mean? The Philadelphia judicial system is pretty sad. You know what I mean? You would think that with so many murders and homicides, they would be a little bit more respective in regards to, trying to keep in contact with the families. But
Mhm.
sometimes in the city, it seemed like we just, pushed off to the side. That's why I wanted to bring you on because I definitely, wanted to honor your son's memory. You know what I mean? And what I do for my mom. I mean, she wasn't a victim of murder. I mean, violence. But
Mhm.
we do like a balloon release. And if you don't have anybody, I mean, you can still do it yourself or whatever like that. Or like a couple of friends. I'll come out with you. I know Rock will come out with you. You can just buy a couple balloons. Write some things on there, and
Yeah,
you just release the balloons or whatever like that. But
yeah,
sometimes people won't really show out because they really just show they true colors in certain
yeah.
situations. So you definitely can't let that get to you.
So I think I might try that, man, and,
Yeah,
and
it's a good
maybe
thing.
have some food cookout or something. Just had a balloon release. Whoever show was who show, I
Right.
appreciate it. But just the honor because this it's crazy, man. And
Yeah,
I ain't
and
finished. Like I just think some people need to answer for that, and I'm still in
right.
the process of trying to figure out, like, because that wasn't cool. Y'all know that I had custody of him, and then y'all let him go down there and then put him back down there, and I'm like, wow, that was not cool.
Well, I definitely would. You could probably reach out to like DHS, like who's the administrative staff there, as far as like the leadership there, put concerns in there. You write letters to the governor, the mayor. You can contact myself, our organization to help you out in regards to at least trying to get some answers in regards to the updates, in regards to the case.
Yeah, I appreciate everything, man. I
And
certainly appreciate you taking this time to talk to me.
no problem. I'm here for you. I'm definitely here for you.
Yeah, sometimes it'd be hard, man. Like other days, I couldn't sit here and talk about it, man. I couldn't. But this happened to be okay. I was kind of prepared a little bit. Not that I prepared, but I was just, I was kind of aware. Sometimes some certain stuff hit me, man. I'd be messed up the whole day, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes you just gotta reach out to the people that have your back, and
Yeah,
everybody say, well, Shiz, I'll be there for you, and when you really need them to be there for you, they don't show up. And
yep.
I had to learn that, even starting this off, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I figured that, who wouldn't want to help kids, but you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I
You'd be
understand,
surprised.
man. I understand completely, man.
You'd be surprised. But I can't let somebody else's views on a subject that I hold dearly stop me from doing what I gotta do. And that's the same thing that you have to do.
Yeah,
Because truth be told, you gonna love your son more than anybody, more than anybody else. You know what I
yeah,
mean? In your own eyesight. You know what I mean? He has a special place in your heart,
yeah.
for him. And sometimes as parents, we have to, keep following up. Like even when the kids aren't here, we still have to keep parenting.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes it is hard, because they, you grieving and things like that, but you got a support system with the Ethel Zachary Foundation. Like I said, you can reach out to us. We actually got this guy right here, Mr. Derek Wallace.
Uh-huh.
That's our vice president.
Okay.
So I'll definitely, try to get you in contact with him, and
Okay.
at least somebody to vent with, or because he's a dad himself. What I mean? He has a son and a daughter, so he can definitely encourage you through this walk. And you got my number, so you can call me, and you got Rock's number, things like that. But I ain't want you to feel like that it was just another day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes after the funeral, everybody go back to business as usual. But for you, you still got to walk this journey.
Yeah, it's never business since then. Like part of me gone now,
Right.
Yep.
I feel you.
I
So
mean, work the same.
say again. I'm sorry.
I said I can't even work the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need days off of work. It's never the same for me, man.
Yeah, and the city has to at least have some type of empathy, because it's not like we looking at like a couple of murders in the city per year. Like it's almost like it's an epidemic. You know what I mean? And
But I just think it's because the places I work. Like I work with troubled kids. I worked in juvenile detention centers. I work in and a lot of I think it's, and most of the stuff I see and some of the meetings I sit in on it's the family structure, and the reason why I think too is that it's a lot of, it's like I understand that you're trying to help the youth, but sometimes you giving these guys way too much say and stuff they don't know nothing about. They don't got no direction on certain things, and you letting them make decisions, and you let them, my mom's too strict, so I don't want to stay here no more. So, all right, we're gonna try to put you in your grandma's house. It's like you're not teaching them to be responsible and do what they're supposed to do. So now they're not used to getting consequences or dealing with consequences. Now they're running out in the street and they doing what they want because they're not used to dealing with consequences. So how do you, and then you too busy and persecute the parents for being parents, and they gotta sit here because they saying, oh, you hollered at them, you did this or you did that. Now and now you gotta be walk on eggshells around your kid. And who want to do that when you paying on the bills in the house and you making sure they cool? And
Right.
you ain't trying to harm your child, but then they want to make it seem like, and half these therapists don't got kids, and I know sometimes they diagnose the kid, but sometimes they don't know the difference between this diagnosis or a kid just being a kid, just testing limits, because that's what they do. They're going to test limits to see how far they can go. It don't got nothing to do with any kind of defiance, or some of the stuff is right, but then sometimes they just test the limits. But you
Well,
got to know that. You got to have a kid in order to know that.
but
And
sometimes when you selecting these therapists, you have to get. I mean, I'm not trying to sound racist, but it's wise if you get a therapist that's black.
yeah,
And like you said, sometimes they may not have children, but due to the nature of that work, that's the type of work that they do, where they do study, the behavior of children, see how things go, testing the limits, like you just now said. So, sometimes it may feel like that, they not, y'all not in the same bag, but and all in all, some of them are good therapists. But just to keep
yeah. I don't like what they do, and there's a lot of stuff they know what they talking about. But sometimes, like I work in one place, they joke and say, oh, they call me like the kid whisperer and stuff like that because they say, oh, he knows what to say to keep them calm. He knows and it wasn't just because I used to notice some stuff they do, and y'all thinking, oh, he's being this fun. So I'll be like, all right, well, let me try this. And I would say this, and they'd start laughing, or they'd stop, and they'd come with me. And they say, well, what you do? Why you got something? I said, because I have kids. I grew up with little brothers and sisters, and I had kids, and I got nieces and nephews, and I know, and I work with kids all my life. I know when they just tested, they just trying something to see what you're gonna say. And then when
right,
you say something contrary to what and do something else, and they be looking like, okay, this guy kind of caught on to me, and they willing to play with you,
right,
and they were like, oh my gosh, so they would come get me from other floors, like, yo, can you come get this guy? And I come down there and say this stuff, and then they be trying to get him out for an hour and 5 minutes. He walking out with me because I knew what to say.
right.
And
Yeah,
it's not just
sometimes it's
like,
just the experience, though.
it
The
just like it could be a
experience of
little
being a
kid, and
parent.
I just play with them or something like that. They all like, oh, you need to come out now. We need to do this. We're gonna give you some medicine. And I walk in and say something stupid like, hey, he said, so how old are you? He said, I'm so and so. No, you ain't. You ain't. I was like, you can't be no. I said, you can't be 7. You're like 4. No, I'm not 4. I said, no, you ain't. I know I know you 4 because a 7-year-old know how to do this. You can't tell me that they know how to do this. They would have been did this, and they be like,
Right,
"Yes, I can. I can do it. Watch me show you." Sometimes you gotta make it seem, make them feel like they gonna show you something.
right, right,
No,
right,
just say so. No, I said you can't do that. No, you ain't do. Let me see you do that again. And they would just do it like, and they be like, "Oh my God, why are you getting?" It's because this is kids. Like sometimes you gotta be playful. You gotta challenge them a little bit, and it's
right,
like everything is not a game of war, and a lot of you will understand that if you had it, you got to kind of have like a more of a loving approach, like you would deal with your kid, but you might not even be as lenient with your kids because you can be like, nah, you gonna get up out of there because you already know you do, but you still have some things you be like, all right, let me make sure he cool.
right,
But
right, right,
you just gotta they gotta understand that, and they don't understand that it's everything is they don't, oh, I don't want to do this no more, and a lot of these kids be in these hospitals just because they don't want to. I said, why are you in here? Because I stole my dad's car and I crashed it. And me and my boyfriend was drinking, and he got mad and he said, "I can't see my boyfriend for a month now, so I don't want to. I want to take these pills." I'm like, I'm looking like, are you kidding me? Like, of course he's not gonna want you to. Then they got the dad in the meeting, like, well, why are you doing this? Well, he wants to see the boyfriend. That's his support system.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you with this guy, you get in trouble. I don't care what they say. You're not seeing them right now. You
Mm-hmm.
might not see them no more. And I'm like, they don't get that, you know. Sometimes you got to stick to what you know, and try not to. You got to still be in accordance with the law, but you got to stick to some things. Like, look, man, this is going to be a battle, as I'm not going through that, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and that's how I got him in the first place, because I was consistent. So they said, you know what, you're gonna go live with your dad, because I was like, nah, he ain't doing this. This is what he need to do. So then he'd come stay with me for a month, and then then they'd say teachers was write letters to court like, listen, this guy is really consistent when he with his dad. He doing this, and then he's a whole different kid. So next thing you know, I got him, you know. And I had him for years. So I'm like, because I was like, nah, y'all, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not. This is what he needs to do. And so y'all don't know him. I know him. I know what he does, and this is what he needs to do. Now I will be leaning it. I will put a better reward system for him doing that. Yeah, man, I will offer him more rewards. I will sit down and talk to him and see what he wants to do and what he needs and what he wants and what he would like to do and where he would like to go. I said, okay, you can do that. This contingent upon you earning this, and you do this. If you do this, no problem. And I deliver every time on what they say. But to let you know, I'm stick. You stick to what I say. You know, you stick to what you say. I stick to what I say. You know, and that's how
Right.
we do it. But you can't be bending and doing this and letting them do this and getting away with that. That's just, it won't work that way.
So I got a question for you. So, being as though you dealt with this experience, so what advice would you have for parents today about how to protect their children from street violence?
I say monitor if they any kind of social media or any kind of yeah, like especially that social media, and you can't really be in their phones like that, but you can be in their phones like that. But you got to monitor all that stuff, because I found some amazing stuff on my son's phone and my other kid's phone, and a lot of this stuff you can catch if you just monitor, if you just take a look at it, you know. Even if you got to make a fake account and be friendly. I did that before. I made a fake account and say, yeah, you know, and I pretend like I was these other kids from the other school, and I found out that he was meeting up, getting in the fights and stuff, and with him they was doing all kinds of stuff, and I would act like I was kids from the other school, and him and his other buddies was at the corner waiting, and then me and my homie walked up and said, "What you doing here?" He said, "Oh, nothing, Dad." I said, "No, you not. You going to me?" No, no, no. I said, "You mean so?" His eyes got big. I said, "Yeah, that's me." I said, "Because I made that." So he was like, "Oh my God." I said, "Yeah, you gotta be on top of that. Sometimes you gotta. Sometimes every once in a while when he switch it up with strange behavior, not coming home or doing this exactly when they supposed to. I won't say nothing at first. I'll go park like a block away, watch." Go get him a homie car, sit in there with him, and we sit there to watch him together. Like, let's see what he do. And watch him. And I might not call him on everything he do, because I didn't do everything right. But I watched some of the most dangerous stuff he did.
Right.
And went and let him know how I knew. I just say, yeah, I heard you be doing this. He be like, huh? I'm like, yeah. You don't know who I know, who watch you. I would do it all the time, man. You just got to keep your kids safe, man. You do what you got to do to keep them safe. And they might not like it, but you got to be the one to do it. They can't like it, but they'll understand it later.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But Sean, I definitely want to thank you for coming on, sharing this time with us. Like I said, you definitely got my number. You can reach out. If you need any help or anything like that. And I'll definitely, get you and Mr. Wallace connected. You guys have a conversation in regards to, keeping your son's memory alive and some parenting tips and things like that there. But I want to thank you again. Hopefully we can have you on again and see what the progress is going on with your
I
son's case.
appreciate it, man. Anytime, though. I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time out to do this too, man.
Hey, no problem, no problem. But enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, you awesome, man.
All right, take care.
All right.
So that was Shawn Grant. Like I said, I can't really relate to like losing a child, but I just wanted him because that's a friend of mine to know that we here for him. What I mean? I met him through another mutual friend, and Shawn took me to a wedding that I was doing photography. We went down to this wedding, had a good time and everything like that. And we just was, just tight from there. So, sometimes you gotta, reach out to your friends and say, hey, I'm here for you. And I'm definitely here for them. But now we're gonna move into this a moment in Black history with Miss Ambrielle Parker. So let's just see if Miss Parker is ready. Hey Ambrielle.
Hello.
How you doing today?
Good.
All right, that's good. That's good. So who we talking about today?
Today we are talking about Nelson Mandela. Okay, so yeah. On April 27th, 1994, the South African in the world were forever changed when Nelson Mandela, a revolutionary leader and former political prisoner, was elected as the country's first black chief executive. In doing so, he and decades-long policy of the apartheid was rebuked and the country moved into a new era. Before his election, Mandela had been serving a life sentence in Robben Island, Portsmouth, and Victor Verster prisoners for his involvement in a conspiracy to overthrow the South African state government. He had served approximately 27 years before his release was granted in 1990 amid growing international allegation and protests against the South African government. Following his release, Mandela commenced negotiations with the then president F.W. de Klerk to abolish apartheid and establish open elections in 1994.
Okay, so what did you learn about this, this moment in Black history about Mr. Nelson Mandela?
I learned that he actually started. I didn't even know actually that he went to jail, and also didn't know that today. Actually, I didn't know that today he made like basically like a pact with the president to make probably like abolish apartheid, and yeah, I didn't know that.
So I just want to thank you again. It's a pleasure to have you on here and giving us this knowledge in regards to Black history.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, love you. Thanks
Love you.
again. So that's Ambrielle Parker with a moment in Black history. So we got this youth conference coming up. But before we get to that, well, actually, let's just get to that right quick. So that's our youth conference. The youth conference is July 15th, 2023. We're having it down at Bethana, 2501 Reed Street. That's in Philadelphia, PA. What's the times on it? 11 and 3. So come out, support the youth, and we definitely will have a wonderful time. We know we just want to, encourage your kids. And, even, today I wanted to, just thinking, what else can we do, excuse me, to make this foundation more effective to children. And we're going to be doing this leadership program. So what the leadership program would do is that it will teach children about the importance of college. It will teach children about their culture, so they have a sense of identity. It'll teach children about mentorship, certain practices in business, financial literacy, and nutrition. So the classes will be taught by staff or volunteers that that'll be willing to work. Mr. Wallace said we need more help. Well, we got you, sir. So we definitely know you'll be there. So, but like Mr. Wallace said, we definitely do need more volunteers for that. It's a new business. A new organization, and we definitely want to, be there for children. I don't know how I forget this, but I want to thank our sponsors. So we want to thank Telly's Glam. That's a online jewelry store, I believe it is. So you can go to Telly's Glam at shop.paparazzi.com/353480. We also want to thank the Lighthouse Church International. You can look them up on Facebook. They have virtual services and live services as well. If you go to their Facebook page, you can get that information. We also want to thank Foods from Heaven. That's a catering service. The food is excellent. They can be reached at 215-929-6248. And their website is www.foodsfromheaven.com. We also want to thank Distinctive Divas Hair Salon. Excellent, excellent work. Ms. Gray is a wonderful beautician, and she does excellent work. Her number is 215-474-5622. So that's Distinctive Divas Hair Salon. That's 215-474-5622. We also want to thank Scoop USA Media. They're located at 1354 West Girard Avenue, the second floor. They run a Black newspaper that helps the community stay on top of what's happening in the Black community, the inner city community. The Cultural Exchange. The Cultural Exchange. That's 1450 Point Breeze Avenue, Philadelphia, PA. This is a boutique shop. He sells Afrocentric merchandise. Very, very needed in the community. It's right on the corner of, I believe it's Point Breeze, and I think that's, don't get me wrong, but the address is 1450 Point Breeze Avenue. So there's a Culture Exchange. We also want to thank DocuCare Copy Service. They help print out the flyer, the posters for the youth conference. So that's 900 North Broad Street, Philadelphia, PA. You can get your flyers, posters, signs. They even do the little cutout sculptures of people. You can get all that done there. Ask for Joe. Bethana, this is a community service. That's where the conference will be held at. They partner with us to make this happen. You can visit them at 2501 Reed Street. That's in Philadelphia, PA. So we got whose birthday's coming up here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So this is Mr. Denham Rogers Cummings. Denham turned 11 April 21st. We here at the Ethel Lee Zachary Foundation want to wish you a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, sir. That's my protege. Very intelligent young man. He has aspirations of wanting to be a neurosurgeon and a baseball player. So I guess after surgery, he'll go out to the mound and, hit a couple home runs or something like that. But happy birthday, Denham. Very, very intelligent young man. So next week, we will be interviewing, let's see here. Hold it. I actually need somebody to do this. Here we go. We will be interviewing Miss Monica Harmon. She is a Philadelphia nurse, and she will be talking about prenatal care. I thought this subject was very important because a lot of us as young parents, and especially the age that these children are having children at now, which is anywhere from 10 to 18, they need a lot of knowledge in regards to prenatal care, like the type of things they're taking inside of their body, things like that. So Ms. Harmon will graciously doing her, give her, graciously be a guest here. I don't know how I got tongue tied. And give us some information on that. on that. Excuse me. Allergies is killing me. So again, we want to thank Shawn for coming out and sharing his experience in regards to his son. And it's hard. It's definitely hard when you lose a loved one. I've never lost a child. Hopefully I never will. But you definitely have to be there in the corner of the people who have lost children. And that's what the village is all about. We want to cultivate these children. We want to educate them. I just said, Denham has aspirations of being a baseball player and a neurosurgeon. As parents, and as his parents, I'm not his parent, but his parents have to develop Denham to make sure that that's the path that he takes and not to be a victim of the streets. It's a lot of resources out here that we can use to help us to be better parents. There's books out here, it's TV shows, you got podcasts, you got neighbors, that's what the village is about. But if you don't take the time to use those resources, then how are you going to know if they work or not? You know what I mean? How are you going to know if what you're doing as a parent is correct? And there's people out here that care for your children. You know what I mean? It's people out here that care for you as young parents. Sometimes situations happen where children are having children, like I said, between 10 and 18. But as the people that are their parent, they have to be the ones that are developing these children correctly to make sure that situations like that don't happen. Now, I'm not going to say everybody's perfect, but when you're talking about your own children, you should at least be trying to aspire to be. I'm not the perfect dad, and I'll never say that I am. If you want to, get my rating as a parent, you would have to ask my kids. You see the picture right there. That's my children right there. And they can tell you because they're the one that's experiencing, the parenting that I'm giving. But I do know that as a parent, I have to be there to nurture these kids. Take their phone calls and, running back and forth and things like that. Sometimes you do got to say no, but you should have more yeses than no's. And then you have to give a reason to why you saying no. It can't just be because I said so. That's making a child think that they're under some type of dictatorship. Like I said, there's books out there. And people always say, well, hey, it's no manual to this. It is so. I just told you there's books out there. They're not going to give it to you at the hospital. They just delivered your baby. They ain't about to supply you with a book too. So you got to get your own book. It's a book out here that we give the parents. The book I wish my parents would have read. It talks about a history of trauma. It talks about correct parenting. You know what I mean? I take this seriously. I went back to school. I'm in school now to become a psychologist because I want to be able to know the behaviors of humans, of people, so we can better relate to these children. And this parenting is not easy at all. I don't care who you are. You can be Cliff and Claire Huxtable, June and Ward Cleaver. It's not easy. And if you're not doing this thing the right way, then sometimes your kids can go off to the wrong path. And we don't want that. We want to be celebrating our children for the accomplishments that they made, not grieving over our children for the mistakes that they've made. And parenting doesn't stop. So if your kids have kids, they going to turn to you because they'll not raise no kids. Because at one time, they was a kid being raised as a child. So you have to give these children, your children, advice on parenting. But if you don't know how to parent, then how you going to do that? You got to open your mouth. And you can't, if you know that you are, and I'm going to say a victim of bad parenting, because that's what it is a victim. Because if you have bad parents, you're going to be a bad parent because that's all you really know. I mean, not unless you run into a good example or something like that. But if you have bad parents, then that's the type of parenting that you're going to give to your children. So you have to challenge your own parenting. And don't be scared to tell your kids you was wrong or I'm sorry, because they'll see you as a human. And you have to be involved in their lives, 5, 25, 55. It don't matter because I still need help now. I'm 47 years old. I got my godmother that I reach out to, and I call her every day. I mean, I don't call her every day with advice, but if I'm going through something, that's the person I call. Because I still need help myself. So that's it for me. I definitely appreciate you guys coming out and, watching the show at whatever time you watch it. And I really do appreciate it. Check us out next Thursday we'll have Ms. Harmon on in regards to prenatal care. And that's it for me. God bless and good night.